Now, most people don't realize that what a UFO actually is. First of all, it's a dumb word because they're not unidentified and they don't fly. They don't fly like a jet. So 2 of the 3 words that make up that acronym are incorrect. But they're basically an alternative energy and propulsion device. And once that began to be really documented by contractors in the U.S. government in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, they really were able to accelerate the research so that by 1954, they had figured out what's called gravity control, which the pop culture would call anti-gravity. It's not anti-gravity, actually, but it's gravity control, as well as what's called zero-point energy, which is pulling energy out of the space around us to run an engine or to run a motor or what have you. So these technologies were being studied very heavily by a team headed up by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who was head of the Manhattan Project. And by 1954, it was pretty well known, at least the science. The problem became to be, and this is what President Eisenhower warned us about, is that the secrecy became so enmeshed in compartmented intelligence operations that even he, as president, lost control over it. One of our military witnesses, he was a young man working at the White House, which I'm looking at here from my place here in Washington. He told us, Mr. Lovkin, who was an attorney, said Eisenhower was very frustrated that he was being denied information on the projects controlling this issue. So the secrecy went off the rails, let's call it, into these unacknowledged special access projects. And I got involved because, and this is something that when I started out, I was just doing investigation and going out and, seeing, hey, can we make contact with these objects? Can we document them? And it turned out that once we did, I got pulled in and was asked to brief President Clinton's new CIA director. Mm-hmm. And from there, I began to realize that there were people who are inside government who know about these projects, and there are people inside government who do not know. And it has nothing to do with your rank. It doesn't matter if you're the president, and it doesn't matter if you're the CIA director. It really matters whether or not the bureaucracy feels like you're going to go along with the agenda of keeping this secret. And the secrecy is the hardest thing for people to understand. This was the first question the CIA director asked me, R. James Woolsey, who was Clinton's first CIA director. He says, why would this be so secret? Why aren't they telling me and the president about this? And my wife and I were at this meeting. It was about a 3-hour meeting. And I said, because they don't believe that this president, Clinton at the time, this was in December of 93, would go along with the agenda. And if he disclosed this information, it would basically be the end of oil and gas and coal and public utilities, because we would have a technology that would completely transform our world. Now, I think that's a good thing. But if you own trillions of dollars in oil assets and coal and public utilities and stocks, you're probably not so enthralled. So I think that's one of the big issues of the secrecy was not based on normal national security concerns. It's not like there's some threat from outer space like all the stupid movies in Hollywood. It's really more about, if you let this information out and confirm it as legitimate, the very first thing any scientist with an IQ over mud is going to ask is, how are these things moving like that? How are they going 200,000 miles per hour and making a right-hand turn without stopping and without not decelerating? So you're talking about controlling gravity. You're controlling the fabric of space-time and an envelope around these objects, and it's all electromagnetic, advanced electromagnetic systems. So once this began to be realized, they said, well, we really don't want this to come out, so let's just keep it secret. And 70 years later, here we are. So what our group is, the Disclosure Project, I founded after I basically gave up on the White House and Congress. And I thought, the people need to do this. So we had a couple dozen top secret guys in our team who came forward initially. Now I've probably interviewed maybe 800 or 900 people who've been in these various projects. So we've taken sort of the tip of that iceberg and put it in this movie Unacknowledged to give people a sense of what the information is, but also understanding how secrecy at this level is maintained, but what the reasons for the secrecy are. Because it doesn't make any sense. Why would this be secret? Most people say, well, it'd be cool to know that there's intelligent life out there. And it is. But if along with that, you're going to have the most disruptive technology in history come out, that pretty much, ExxonMobil, goodbye. So BP is gone. Your public utilities are unnecessary. So this begins to be a huge macroeconomic issue, and that's what the secrecy is partially rooted in.